You're 18 years old, right?
Yes.
So you've heard that it's black people. Black people are more likely to use welfare or receive welfare.
That's what they say on the news oftentimes.
So how do you know that? How do you know? How do you have a sense of whether that's true or not? Is it your responsibility? And if so, how do you come to that you pay taxes, give some of your money to somebody else who doesn't have enough money? Where does your mind go in that? Sitting at home and not working for 6 months was going to have these consequences. So I don't have any food to put on the table. I'm hungry for the first time. Oh, maybe that's the thing somebody needs.
But then, like, my question is, if you don't want your taxes to go to help people in, like, these situations, then where do you want your money to go, like, specifically?
Because if on one side we have welfare and on the other side we have absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Just for comparison's sake. And I feel like if we take all welfare away,
when we say the word welfare, when you see that, okay, that's what we're going to talk about. Where's your mind go? What do you think about?
I think it's usually programs to help people who can't necessarily afford those things on their own.
Programs to help people who can't afford things, who need to do something. How about?
Yeah, necessities, yeah.
Okay. Emily?
I think of governmental assistance, so like food stamps, access to health care, Social Security.
Social Security is welfare?
I mean, is it not?
Huh. Like
disability checks
disability.
and stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yep, disability for sure. Yeah, okay, yep.
When I think of welfare, I think of, like they said, government assistance, financial assistance for at-risk or impoverished or people with disabilities, basically to help them live as normal of a life as possible.
And wait, what kind of life?
As normal of a life as possible.
As normal of life. What would that mean for you?
For me, that means the ability to achieve the so-called American dream, to achieve upward mobility, to have hope that your future generations can live a better life than you had. I think that's what should be an average life for an American.
Mm-hmm. In what ways do people receive welfare? Well, what do they receive?
Well, I'd say that you have, the more positive side of it. They believe that by giving, subsidies to these disadvantaged groups that...
No, what do they actually receive? So subsidies,
or
right?
They receive money, food stamps, things of that nature. And they believe that, by giving them that, they'll be able to live a better life and they'll be able to, achieve upward mobility and increase their status in the United States.
So what do people receive from your end? What are you thinking?
I think of children receiving free school lunches or free healthcare or more accessible healthcare in their areas, for example.
So lunches, like money, right? Rent payments, help with schooling, Head Start, this kind of thing, right? Okay. Bro, how's it different here than what do people receive in the UK? Do you know?
I mean, the first example that jumps to my mind is probably the NHS.
NHS,
like public health care, like that sort of stuff.
And it's welfare because, wait, are you saying, do people get something that's different than what everybody gets in the UK?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much the same all around, I think.
So everybody gets a kind of a healthcare subsidy, so to speak, in the UK. Although some people can get better healthcare than other people if they pay for it, right? But there's sort of a
private
base
healthcare, but for most UK citizens, it's if you want a doctor checkup or something like that, it's not gonna cost you. It's provided by the government.
Okay. So people get all of these things. Which people? Who's getting welfare? Who's getting? Yeah, who's receiving this? What kind of people? What?
I would say people that don't have the money to necessarily like afford weekly groceries, or who would benefit from having the stress of those financial responsibilities taken off of them. People apply for it and then they can get approved from the government.
Are there certain groups of people who are more likely to get welfare than other groups of people? Some kind of demographic? Like what do you hear? Like what's the story you hear? Again, this isn't like what do you know? It's like what's the story you hear? What's the story out there?
Well, I mean, it's usually going to people who are like, I guess, lower income, like can't really afford it on their own. Like they need like assistance to like get the necessary like basic needs that they can like survive on usually.
Okay, so lower income people. Who else? What other what are there certain demographics? Like, you know, like people from certain areas of the world, people of certain racial groups, people of like, what's the story? Jaden, how?
Okay, yeah, I'll tell you what you want to hear.
No, it's not what I want to hear. No, I just want to know, like, what's the story that you hear?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, historically, you know, black people have been disadvantaged and have been more susceptible to becoming impoverished or at risk. So typically, well, in a lot of neighborhoods, black people tend to be the people who need welfare most of the time.
When you say need welfare, what do you mean by need welfare?
They're the people who tend to be of low income. And so when I say like they need welfare, they're typically the ones applying for it and the ones that are heavily benefiting from those welfare programs.
Okay, so here, you're 18 years old, right?
Yes.
So you've heard that it's black people. Black people are more likely to use welfare or receive welfare.
That's what they say on the news oftentimes.
So how do you know that? How do you know? How do you have a sense of whether that's true or not?
I'd say, other than, you know, articles I've read, I'd say it's based on my own personal experience in Brooklyn, New York, and, you know, going to other parts, other boroughs. A lot of the times the people on the street in those areas do tend to be black people, also other minorities, Hispanics. So, you know, historically marginalized communities, they tend to be the ones that you would find in, you know.
Hey, okay, Emily, how about you? What's the story you hear about what groups are most likely to receive welfare?
The way, I guess what I jump to is thinking about, like, I guess single parents, maybe younger parents or younger individuals, people with disabilities. I do think that there is statistical evidence that like racial and ethnic minorities are more on welfare.
Disproportionately more likely to receive. But white people are much larger in number.
I think that's what I've seen.
Let me ask you this. When we say, like Jaden here, Danish, right? Danish? Yeah. All right. Jaden's saying, like, we're talking about needing welfare, right? Why do people need welfare? What do we mean by that? Like, oh, this person needs assistance. Like, what do we mean by that?
Well, I mean, if it's a need, it's something they need to like necessarily survive, right? So like, hypothetically, if like say, you know, a loved one was like injured, like a car crash or something.
Okay.
And let's say you're like not making very much money, like you barely make your own, you know, ends meet.
So maybe one of the main income earner in a household can no longer work. Disability, car accident, something. It's like, okay, they need. What else? What are other? So that's one reason. Do you have to have something really bad happen to you that you need welfare?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, maybe like two parents have a kid that they need to send to like school, but like, you know, they don't have enough money to like give him like a packed lunch or something.
And why
or
don't
like
they
pay
have
for
enough
school.
money? Is it your responsibility? And if so, how do you come to that? that you pay taxes and you give some of your money to somebody else who doesn't have enough money? Where does your mind go in that?
Well, all Americans, I mean, we're all living in a very large community. And in order for a nation to be successful, we have to be able to rely on each other and give our taxes not only just to provide for the poor, but to provide for other, things that we need around.
Does everybody who collects welfare need it? Like, Emily?
The way that I view welfare is, I think people can be working really hard and whether they're a single parent or it's two parents, and they can be working in jobs where they don't make a lot of money or they make minimum wage, and everything that they can might still not be enough for their children or to provide for their family in the way that they want.
Yep.
So I guess they don't need it, but it can help build a foundation and give them a more level base to build upon, and then maybe work less hours to get an education and to get out of that position.
Wait, and you're okay with that? Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Because, you're going to hit the job market, and you're going to be, presumably, you're here at Penn State, you're going to be working 40 you're just graduating, so you'll probably be working 60 hours a week, and you're okay with that? Yeah?
Yeah.
When are you not okay? When would you be, you're going to see someone on welfare, collecting welfare, and you're going to be like, yeah, I'm not so sure I'm okay with that.
I think when it would be people taking advantage of it and using welfare as not an excuse, but a security blanket where they don't have to try to get themselves out of that position and to maybe find a job, whether maybe they're using welfare while they're in between jobs, and then stop looking or stop pursuing to get out of that position, I guess.
Okay, and how often is that happening? What's your just kind of assessment, or what do you hear around you that's yeah?
I think that there's a lot of stuff online both ways, but yeah, I'd say that it does happen pretty often, or maybe people get more comfortable than they realize, and aren't trying as hard maybe to get out of that position.
Okay, so now go back to your earlier answer. Welfare exists to help people who need help, right? And for some reason. But now we back up a little bit. It sounds like you're on two roads here. One is it exists for people to help. But there are people who don't need help. They're making choices that are
Right. I feel like it probably exists for both. And because maybe one group of people could be taking advantage of it, doesn't mean it should take it away from everybody else that does need it.
Yeah. Huh. So
it's frustrating, I guess.
Okay. So Jaden, who's Jamaican? Your mom or your dad?
My mom.
So your mom, you're Jamaican. So you're from this culture that's hey, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yes.
You don't ask for handouts. If you mess up, your mom's going to be like, oh, Jaden, okay, well, that's all right. That's probably somebody else's fault. She's Jamaican. She's a Jamaican mom, man. She's going to be but and she's...
yeah, of course.
Because you did something stupid.
Yes.
Get somebody pregnant, and then she becomes a single mom.
That would be pretty bad, yes.
Okay, yeah, but Emily's talking about people who are single mothers and they need help. And I'm like, wait, did you not have a role in that? Or whatever. There's some choice, usually, okay? So at what point in time you're yeah, we're all in this together. We're in a community and we got to help each other out. But at what point in time, Jaden, do you go you know what? We are in a community. But y'all sitting over there doing nothing. I know Jesus said we should help our brothers and sisters in need, but Jesus didn't say we should help our brothers and sisters who refuse to do anything to help themselves. Maybe he did, I don't know. So at what point in time do you go nah, this whole Christian thing is nice, but it has its limits?
Yeah, if it does for sure have its limits, I think, like Emily said, when a group of people or a person isn't actively looking for work and isn't actively looking to, increase their quality of life, increase their status, and pursue upward mobility, I think that's when welfare is somewhat wasted on them, and it's more so used as a safety net just to keep them from falling completely under.
And what if they fall? And why do you want to stop people from falling completely under? Maybe that's what they need to have a wake-up call to say, like, yo, I didn't realize me sitting at home and not working for 6 months was going to have these consequences. So I don't have any food to put on the table. I'm hungry for the first time. Oh, maybe that's the thing somebody needs.
Maybe, but a lot of these times, these people have families, they have relatives that they have to provide for,
Okay.
siblings, husband, wife. So to let them fall completely under would not only be like dooming them, but also dooming their entire family.
Yeah, can I give you something here, the two of you? Most people on welfare are children. They didn't choose it. You know what I mean? So it's like, we can punish the parents, but what about the kids? They didn't choose it. It's not their fault. So like, okay.
Honestly, online I see a lot of people. Well, this is me using Twitter, so it's all going to be like accounts rage baiting or something. But they're always like, oh, these people are like shouldn't be using welfare, or like that should be like be taxed less or stuff like that. But then like my question is, if you don't want your taxes to go to help people in like these situations, then where do you want your money to go, like specifically? Because taxes are supposed to help better the community in a sense.
Okay, better the community. But so if you have a group of people, when you have some people who are not bettering the community because they're just doing nothing and they're not doing what they could do to improve the community from their end, how are they helping the community?
Well, I mean, there's definitely people abusing the system, don't get me wrong. Like there's definitely people who like take the like benefits for granted and whatnot. I don't think the system's perfect by any means. But I think that the situation that is now is definitely more desirable than a situation where the like actual system wasn't there at all in the first place.
So if we had nothing available to people, there's a lot of children who would be growing up without any resources at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, what I'm hearing from the three of you is like, is that you're optimistic about, you reflect people your age, which is what I was saying the other day. That you are like, look, we have war, stop war. We have hungry people, feed them. We have people who are homeless, give them a house. We can fix these problems. You know what I mean? We have this money, like fix the problem. So the question becomes, so now we're just walking into this space of, yeah, but I just don't know I'm still trying to figure out at what point in time now I'm introducing an idea to you, which is that the main argument with welfare is that we're giving something to someone that they didn't earn, which is okay, that's fine. Sometimes that's important because it's not for long term. It's short term. You don't need it forever. You're on disability for 6 months, and like that helps you out, and then you move forward, right? But there's also a lot of long-term stuff, and then it becomes like an excuse for people. And I'm still just curious as to where you all put your foot down on that.
Can I add on something to that?
Yeah.
I feel like the easiest way to kind of make a comparison with something like this is to look at it at extremes. Because if we on one side we have welfare and on the other side we have absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Just for comparison's sake. And I feel like if we take all welfare away, it would do a lot more harm than good. Because although, like the volunteers correctly pointed out, there are certain people that are abusing the system, but there are a lot of people that are genuinely needed and is very advantageous for them that it's there.
Okay.
So I think it would do a lot of good that it's there, and it would do a lot of harm if it's not.
Okay. So, and I got one way it would do harm. Here's one, right? What if, for example, you walk out the door, you walk back to your dorms or your apartment or whatever, and everywhere you turn, there's people who are asking for money, who are homeless, who are this, who are that, sleeping on the street. It's like, that's not a very desirable world to live in. Right, bro? So like, here's one way in which it improves the lives of everybody. We're all one community. It's like, I don't want to live in that world. You know, so I don't know what I have to do to not live in that, but some people are always going to need something. And so like, all right, whatever, just spend what we got to spend to, I don't want to step over people.